Hello and welcome back to Norty's Spooktacular Film Exaggeration Marathon. We're in the 2000s now, and when looking at this decade, the subgenre that comes to mind the most is American remakes of Asian horror films.
In 2002, The Ring was released to huge praise and box office success. It was an American remake of a Japanese horror film about a VHS tape where whoever watches it dies 7 days later. Afterward, we got a string of American remakes of Asian horror movies over the rest of the decade, from The Grudge, to Dark Water, to Pulse, to The Eye.
And one of the last that seemed to completely kill the genre was 2008's One Missed Call.
Now, the original One Missed Call was released in Japan in 2004 by Toho and was a decent hit over there. I personally haven't seen it. We're sort of going to be doing the same route as we did with the Prom Night remake, where I want to watch it blind and not be prejudiced by seeing the original. But interesting to note, like Prom Night, the original Japanese One Missed Call didn't get great reviews. People were kinda mixed on it. That said, it got a much better reception than the 2008 remake. This version was directed by French director Eric Vallet and written by Andrew Clavin. You remember Andrew, right?
I am an anti-feminist.
That's right, it's the guy who made that PragerU video where he said we don't need feminism, and then went on to prove that we absolutely do need feminism because people like Andrew Clavin exist. This thing was absolutely panned. It has a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes out of the 79 reviews, so if we're going by how many people reviewed it, that would make it the second lowest rated film on that website after Ballistic X vs. Sever.
How? How can something possibly be that bad? Well, let's find out. This is One Missed Call.
We open up with a fire at a hospital as a young girl is brought to safety. Well, that's one way to start a movie, I guess. But enough of that, let's cut to some college student that apparently can afford her own Japanese-style home as she starts looking for her cat. Yoink! Oh, what, you had to kill the cat too? Alright, this movie's already on my shit list. We then get overly stylized editing for the opening credits.
It stopped being cool in 1997.
We then enter a college party where muscular Michael Cera here, named Ryan, is talking with Beth Raymond, played by Cheyenne Sosaman, when she goes to open the door.
The hell was that?
It's her friend Leanne, who that woman from the beginning was talking to before she died. She's upset, obviously, but then gets a call from the dead woman's phone and the message is dated for the following Monday.
I don't know, it's the weirdest thing. It's like every time I turn around, there's...
Alright, so far this movie gets an F in the atmosphere department. That could have been creepy, but it was so poorly directed it left no impact. We then meet Detective Jack Andrews, played by Edward Burns, as he checks on her sister's body after being found in the middle of nowhere. But more interesting, she has a piece of red candy in her mouth. Leanne begins seeing things, including CG centipedes and this.
I'm missing the subtlety of I know who killed me.
She begins talking to Beth as it turns out it's the time that the message was sent. She then dies.
That was one of the best things I have ever seen.
She also has a piece of red candy in her mouth. At her funeral, Brian starts to see the same hallucinations Leanne did, and it turns out he also got a voicemail of himself dying that is dated for that day in just a few minutes. I love that they're trying to make me care. I don't know a single thing about this guy other than he's possibly a pervert.
If you don't think about it, it can't hurt you.
Yeah, if he died, that would have been entirely his fault. Nope, instead he has to die from an explosion flinging a piece of rebar into him.
This movie really wants to be like Final Destination.
Here are a couple of reasons those movies worked and this doesn't. Those films had a sense of humor, while this is so damn serious. And they also had a good atmosphere and build-up. This is so rushed that we're not even a half hour in and they're already on board with the fact that something supernatural is happening. Beth's friend Taylor even believes that she'll be next, but they take the batteries out of their phones to stop it from happening.
You saw it here, folks. Ghosts can make phones work without batteries.
Yeah, ghosts messing with electricity has always been a thing, but usually it still has to have a power source. Anyway, Taylor gets a video message that looks like the shittiest found footage movie ever made, dated for 2 days from now.
Okay, so you know the exact time you're supposed to die. Barricade yourself in the house.
The phone is yours, so you can do whatever you want with it.
I don't know if that was supposed to be funny, but it was. Run away. If Ray Wise shows up at your house and smiles at you like that, run away.
No, they don't. He's actually the host of some supernatural show that wants to feature her story on his show. The next day, Beth sees Taylor left to be with her parents, which I guess is the smartest thing she could do. Jack comes by and tells her that he knows the person who called his sister, and would later call that woman in the beginning, and her name is Marie Layton. They go to her apartment, but it appears to be abandoned as they waste time walking around and getting cheap jump scares with dummies. They find a disc of a nanny cam that shows her 2 daughters.
Okay, so judging from the angle, the camera would have been right here. So where did it go?
By the way, I haven't mentioned the acting is bad. Like, really bad. No one is good. Every single person is half-assing it. So the older daughter, Ellie, died of an asthma attack, while the younger daughter, Laurel, was in a hospital after being abused by Marie.
It says her mother was questioned by a psychiatric nurse at St. Luke's.
Your sister.
So here's something that's starting to confuse me. Why is it targeting this specific group?
I mean, with other movies like this, it makes sense. In The Ring, you watch the tape, you die in 7 days. In Final Destination, if you mess up Death's plan, you will be killed in the order you would have died originally. In this one, it just appears to be going after some random person in the victim's contact list. Whatever, so dumbass Taylor decides to go on the TV show the very minute she knows she's going to die.
Yes, being around all that heavy electrical equipment seems like a very smart idea.
Apparently the show is live, which, if you genuinely think she's in danger of dying, why would you air it live? You could be charged with showing a snuff film. Well, as you might have guessed, Taylor ends up getting killed, of course getting the red candy in her mouth. Not that Beth seems to have much of a reaction.
Did you get that?
Well, you're an asshole. Your client just died.
Beth gets the dreaded call as it's set for the next night.
This girl needs protection.
From what? The ghost in her cell phone?
Wait, the police don't believe them? They have a dozen witnesses from the film crew. They at least filmed large parts of it even if the lights went out at the moment she died. So it turns out that Beth's father is dead and she was abused by her mother.
Is any of that gonna matter? Okay.
They find Laurel, who is with a foster family, and it turns out she's the little girl from the beginning. Her mother is missing, but the bear she's holding turns out to play the same song as the ringtone. The next several minutes aren't really that important, it's just padding because the movie that couldn't even get to 90 minutes needs to fill time. So it turns out Marie was in the hospital and may have died, thus why her spirit is calling everyone. She goes to the hospital to try and find out what happened.
Stop putting yourselves in danger when you know you're on death's door.
Whatever, I don't give enough of a shit to care. More padding.
Oh my god, that was great.
Oh, please die, please die, please die, please die. She doesn't die. Instead, she meets up with Jack and they decide to get out. Jack is knocked out as Beth is locked in a room. This movie is so poorly directed and acted. I mean, the story is boring, cliche, and not interesting, but it maybe could have made for a fun, cheesy horror flick, but it is so poorly executed that I want nothing more than for it to be over. She goes into the vents and finds Marie's corpse, which of course comes to life just as she's supposed to die. Kick it in the face. It's a burned corpse. This should be easy to defeat. Yeah, I think tears need to have actual eyes to be created, but whatever. The corpse doesn't do anything.
I know what she was, but I have this feeling that she brought me here or something to protect me.
Yeah, Marie wasn't the culprit. We know this. There's still 18 minutes left. Let's just go.
Jack goes to tell Laurel that her mother is dead, but she's asleep.
What is it?
That's Laurel's, isn't it?
It looks like hers.
Yeah. That's the teddy bear.
Wait, what? Oh my god! Oh. I seriously, for a split second, thought that the teddy bear was going to be the killer, and if it was, this would be getting my highest recommendation.
Inside, he finds another nanny cam disc, and it's here we get our big twist. It turns out that the older sister, Ellie, was the one abusing Laurel. And when Marie took her to the hospital, Ellie had an asthma attack, and that's when she died. Meaning Ellie is the one doing all of this. Okay, not sure why she's going after random people on the contact list, but whatever.
It wasn't your mother who hurt you. It's your sister Ellie, wasn't it?
But she always gave me candy.
Because ghosts can materialize candy out of thin air. Oh, what do I care at this point? At the evidence station, Jack's phone gets that ring, and when they call to tell him, he rushes to Beth's place. So we have a scene where one person is in danger of being killed, while another frantically rushes towards the house while trying to call them. Haven't seen that before. He gets there and tells her the truth.
All right, look. It wasn't Marie, all right? It was Ellie. The whole time it was Ellie. She's the one who made the very first phone call.
Don't look through the peephole, you idiot!
This movie really just doesn't want me to care, does it?
The place begins exploding with bad CGI as Not Tamara tries to kill Beth, but Marie once again saves her. You couldn't have shown up a few seconds earlier to save Jack, you fucking bitch? Oh, fuck you. You ain't getting a sequel.
Yep.
This was one of the most pathetic horror films I've ever seen. Every element is bad. The direction is uninspired, the editing is a mess, there's no atmosphere, the story is derivative of other better movies, it's never scary, and it's mostly just boring. The acting is bad, and throughout the entire runtime, it felt like it was trying to get itself over with. It reminded me a lot of I, Frankenstein, where it seemed the movie wasn't trying to invest the audience, it just was gonna do some stuff, but wanted to end as soon as possible. It's one of the worst horror movies because there's absolutely no reason to watch it. It adds nothing. It's not even funny bad. There are some funny moments, but very few. The Swarm at least looked good, and Amityville 3D tried giving character development. This was worthless.
Well, join me on Halloween for a horror movie from the 2010s. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.